Welcome, my wayward souls who have found this video. This is my year-end review of Borderlands 3. With Arms Race fast approaching, just even a couple days away, I just want to go over the quick overview of the Borderlands 3 situation and where it stands and how I feel like year one content has gotten us to this point. Before we do that, please consider supporting the channel by hitting the subscribe and bell icons to be notified, and also maybe catch me on Twitch in the link below, Mondays and Thursdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Borderlands started off a little rocky at first, pun intended. Ding! We all remember the broken but insanely fun porcelain pipe bomb, of course. The Torg sticky launchers. Maybe even you remember the endless loot tank on Eden 6. And every Vault Hunter besides Flak getting, well, flacked. But over the course of the next month or two, Gearbox went through a nerfing and buffing phase. The Hex and Firestorm nosedived. One of those never recovered. I'll let you guess which one it is in the comments below. Mayhem mode was kind of a mess too. But one thing remained constant. Grave Ward was always our favorite punching bag, and that has never changed. The most consistent thing in Borderlands history. Somewhere along the lines, they released a whole bunch of stuff. Let me just list it for you really quick. They did the Halloween event, which was awesome. We got to see our boy Captain Trant come back as, well, dead Trant. They also released Mayhem 4 and DLC 1, the Handsome Jackpot. At some point within the first couple months. It was a really neat DLC. It also gave Zane a way to be in the usable Vault Hunter circle, because by that point, Zane didn't have anything. Sometime after that, they had the Valentine's Day event, which brought one of my favorite guns, the Wedding Invitation, to then be useless later. Then they released DLC 2, Loves Guns, Tentacles. Guns, Love, and Tentacle, I think, is the order for that one, and it sounds a lot worse if you don't know the context. It was a solid DLC with a great Lovecraftian, dark, gothic theme, and honestly, in terms of the four, easily the most creative of the four. Easily the most creative. I don't think we are ever going to see anything that bonkers in the Borderlands universe again. Like, that was insane. At some point, they added the Maliwan takedown, another kind of breakthrough in Borderlands 3 and its gameplay loop. It was kind of a raid challenge run style area where you would go through a series of level areas to get to a final boss, and he was an invincible, so he was like a raid boss. He was a big bad, and you had to take him out. And at the time, was amazing loot that dropped out of that guy. Amazing. Also, after that point, they kind of just said, well, screw Mayhem mode. And they gave us Mayhem 1 through 10, which really just shook up everything. Of course, they had level jumps in there. There was a 53, and then there was a 57, and a 60, and a blah, blah, blah. And then finally a 65. Of course, that came much later, but there were level jumps in there. There was Revenge of the Cartels, which, by the way, still my favorite of all of the extra content. I freaking love that. Short, sweet, to the point, amazing weapons. And then they added the Guardian takedown, which was a super hard version of the Maliwan takedown. And in the beginning, they had to tone it back because it was broke, and it was really a little too hard for most of the community. So they tuned it down, and it's a long one, but it's a good one. And then they dropped DLC number 3. Another bonkers one. It is a mixture of Japanese, dinosaurs, and cowboy themes. Yes, I said all of those things. It was really different, but honestly, it worked super well. And it definitely is my favorite DLC out of all of them. Another couple of months later, and we snagged DLC number 4, the last of the season 1 or year 1 pass. People were really craving a certain somebody, and that guy was Krieg. So we got to see our old pal Krieg having his mind sort of worked on and sanitized away from his strange murdering fetish. It was short, but it was fun and compelling, and it definitely added. It was fun. It was a good game, and it's as close to fan service as we're gonna get in this cell-shaded apocalypse. And boy, Krieg's got the abs, man. Dang. We're in present day here. We are a couple days away from the start of year 2 content, the designer's cut and the director's cut. We have no idea what the director's cut is, but with the addition of the free content, Mayhem 11, but the designer's cut is paid content and it will feature all new skill trees for each character. So a skill tree for each, the purple tree, I guess, and each adding a new action skill, which will shake up the game quite a bit, definitely. New builds are going to come out of the wazoo, because instead of 2 of the 3 capstones and other things, you could add a purple to any of those 3 capstones. It kind of makes the diversity of builds, in a way, like tenfold, because now there's so much more mix and match. That's going to be cool, but it is paid. And then the other thing is arms race. We've seen a lot of the other creators, the bigger, more sponsored creators, we've seen them do this content in arms race. And that's what you've been seeing in the gameplay footage as well, on and off. Thank you, courtesy to Epic NNG. I can link his YouTube down below. He's a great guy. He gave us the raw footage. It's really cool because this idea of shaking up the game formula. And I know that I saw a review on Forbes that said, no, this isn't good. But then I've seen plenty of other people say this is amazing and this is a lot of fun. It's going to add a lot of replayability to the game. And I think that's the point of this year-end review, is coming to the point of realizing the replayability of the game itself and the maintenance on it. So the question is, on everybody's mind, was the first year worth it? Because if the first year was worth it, then we can determine kind of what the next year is going to look like. Well, the answer to that question is this. It depends on who you are and how realistic your expectations with the game were at launch. Did you expect Borderlands 3 to be a reskinned Borderlands 2? Or did you give it a fair, unbiased look? Or were you somewhere in between? Say down in the comments below. BO3's first year was tumultuous, no doubt about it. Balancing act of the game took more than a year, and we are still fixing things. There are still guns that don't work. There are still skills that don't work. But here's the deal, and I want you to listen carefully. When you keep adding content to the game over the course of 365 days, of course it's going to be under constant maintenance, right? Of course. They're adding new stuff all the time, and the new stuff breaks the old stuff. They can't play test this thing as well as us as a community can, because if they were to play test every single developmental change, every buff, every nerf, every skill, they would never release the game. That's how it works. You can only QA enough before you lose all money in your budget, and you haven't made a sale yet. You gotta remember from a game development where they're coming from, and not just us as a consumer, because we as consumers can be pretty dang selfish. Honestly, I'm just being honest. Yes, we expect the game to work, and Borderlands 3 did absolutely work. They had things they had to work through, but you could play the whole game and experience minor glitches. That's nothing different than a Bethesda title. Love Bethesda to death, but it's true. Some of those games are unplayable at launch, but Borderlands 3 was definitely playable. It definitely had a lot there, and they just had to do some basically like Overwatch style tweaks, where they had to go up and down on some sliders and some functionality on the weapons and the characters. They had to fix a couple things, but that's what AAA studios do. At least they should do. And the other thing to bear in mind is that the season pass content has added probably triple at least the amount of content that the game itself had, the base game. And we don't even want to know how much time and money they spent on man hours to keep the game balance halfway decent. They released hot fixes and patches every friggin' week for an entire year straight. Who the heck does that? Nobody. Very few games do that. Do you see Call of Duty doing this? Heck no. Absolutely not. If they did, maybe their game wouldn't be 180 gigabytes to play. That's the point, is understanding that while the first year had rough times at different moments when they added stuff and broke stuff, it was never left unattended for long, ever. It always was addressed within a couple weeks, and severe things were addressed in a month. Overall, I give the first year a 10 in effort, because I as a consumer also agree that there were moments that they didn't quite effectively do things. But did they try as hard as they could? Absolutely. 10 for effort. I give an 8 in its execution. Year 1 was a great year. It was a great first year for Borderlands. Will year 2 be that much better? I have no idea. But I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic that year 2 is going to bring us maybe a new character by the end of the year. I'm optimistic that whatever this director's cut thing is, it's going to be pretty sweet. I'm optimistic that these skill trees and this arms race is going to add another, guess what, 40 hours of gameplay. 40 more hours for 15 bucks is a fudging steal. What game are you going to go buy that has 50 plus hours, maybe 40 to 50 plus hours of content in it for 25 bucks? What game are you going to go buy? That's not just like, you know, free like Fortnite or Apex. I think I've gone on long enough. I think you get the point. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you want to get the season pass number 2, or if you don't, that's completely up to you. Personally, I'm going to get it because obviously I have a bias towards content creation, but I am legitimately excited for this. Much love to you. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, evening, or whatever. Maybe we can hook up and play too. Twitch below. All right. See ya.